and welcome back to learning how to play the piano and increase brain health. I'm Lisa Mitz, and I'm so excited that you've come back for lesson 2. I hope by now you've had a chance to just get familiar with the piano, practice a little bit about what we went over last week. We'll do a little bit of review on that, but I just wanted to reiterate how important it is that you have made this decision to join me in what is really going to be such an amazing benefit, not just to learn a skill. That's always a great benefit, to learn how to play an instrument, but specifically the piano, which has been proven over and over to increase brain activity, brain connectivity, overall longevity and health, preventing Alzheimer's and dementia, increasing emotional intelligence, EQ, increasing overall brain health in children, even with ADHD and autistic children. I mean, it's just, the research goes on, and that's part of my heart is, I've had so many people over the years ask me, would you please teach me how to play piano? Teach me how to play a few chords. And, I've wanted to, and some I have, but I just haven't had the time to do what I really wanted to do. And now that I found out about this research, wow, all of a sudden my heart was like, how can I keep this silent? How can I keep this quiet? I have to do this. And what an amazing, beautiful way through the internet and through online videos that I can now reach so many of my friends across the country. You know who I'm talking to. I love so many of you. We write each other on Facebook and through emails, and this is a way that we can be connected, where I can hopefully be a blessing in your life, and where you're gonna also turn around and receive this and be well and live long and prosper, and then you're gonna go ahead and you're gonna share that possibly with others too. So that's what this is all about. This is my heart, my passion to make a difference in your life. And these first few lessons that I'm giving to you at no cost are really a foundation to help you be prepared to be able to play long-term however you choose to advance in your piano skills. So with that, we're going to go ahead and move into doing a little bit of review from last week. Now, you should have also received by now a PDF from me. On that PDF, you will have received one of the research articles I'm referring to. There's many more, and I'll be including some of those in the next couple of lessons on different PDFs. But you also should have gotten there your scale structure, your chord structure, specifically for 3 scales. The first one being C, which we covered last week and we're going to review. The next one will be G, which we're going to be doing this week. And then I'll talk about the third one in a little while. So we're going to, again, begin on middle C. And if you remember last week, we talked about the difference with the black chords and the white chords. I'm sorry, the black notes and the white notes. And so we find middle C here right below what would be C sharp or D flat. And this is middle C. And the reason we call it middle C is because, as you see, the piano is divided. There's 88 keys. We meet down here for what they call middle C. Every octave, as we talked about last week, just repeats the same 8 notes. So actually, technically 7 notes, but always landing on that 8th note for your scale. So here we go. We're going to go ahead and review the C scale, beginning here. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. And we'll come down the staircase. C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C. And if you remember, and it's on your PDF, we talked about last week, the fingering that is ideal so that you're not having to constantly like that. We're not going to learn to play chopsticks. We're going to learn to play the piano. Although chopsticks can be fun, we might do that another time. But for now, we're going to, again, focus on that fingering. So I'm going to do that one more time here. C, D, E. And if you see on the F, I'm bringing my first finger, G, A, B, C. And you notice how that is really excellent piano, what we would call technique with our hands, is to be relaxed. We don't want our hands to be down like this, and we don't want them to be too up. We want them to be just relaxed and be able to just move very easily up and down the scale. The more you practice, the quicker you'll be able to do that. Now we're going to do the left hand, and so we're going to start down on low C here. And on our fifth finger with our left hand, we're going to move up the scale. And when we get to the A is where we cross over with our third finger, and we land again on our first finger so that we can go back down the scale. Super easy for you guys by now. Now we're going to make it a little bit trickier, but this is going to be where we're actually increasing and activating our brain health, our brain activity, our brain connectivity, because what we're doing is we're using both of our hands for an ambidextrous experience that is directly connected to the research, why the piano is so different than the other instruments for developing better brain health in that regard. So we're going to start together, and we're going to move up the scale. Now if you notice, I put my first finger the way here in my right hand, and then my third finger in my left hand. You can still fix it. So let's try it again here. And there you have your C scale. And I really highly encourage you to practice that together. Even if you make mistakes, you know, that is not important. What's important is just getting that feel for playing with your hands together. Now we want to practice again the C chord, and in your PDF I gave you not only the structure for the scales and the fingering, but I also gave you the chord structure, which, as you remember, is in the major keys is always 1, 3, 5. And so what we find here is in the right hand and in the left hand, the exact same fingering you would be using in your scales. We're just doing now just the 1, 3, 5 together. We're making the C chord, okay? Now, if you have any questions, of course, I want you to write down at the bottom of the video, and I'll be glad to answer. You can also write me, and I'll give you information on that at the end. But for now, we're going to move on into the G scale. Now, before we get into the G scale, I want to explain something, because you're going to notice that in the G scale, it's a little bit different than the C scale. And the reason for that is we have a black note in the G scale. And you might ask, well, how come we didn't have a black note in the C scale? Well, first of all, in the C scale, there are no sharps and there are no flats. C and A minor, they are like sister chords. They do not have any sharps or flats. Now, we're not going to be talking about minor scales right now, or minor chords, but when we move into the G scale, we move into our first scale that has one sharp in it. And you might ask, what is a sharp? What is a flat? What does that mean? Well, as I told you here, every single key represents a half step, okay? So for instance, you have the 2 black notes, the 3 black notes, and then you have white notes in between. Every single note is a half step. No matter where it is positioned, it's a half step. So if you have if you skip a note in between here, which here is C sharp or D flat, depending on which direction, this right here is a whole step, okay? Because you have a half step here and a half step here. So you have a whole step. And in the major scales, they are structured, every single scale, no matter where you land, whether you're going to do a G scale, a C scale, a D scale, it's going to follow the same structure. And that structure is this. We start on the first note and we go whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. That's on your PDF, by the way. And that is a great technique for you to always know how to play a scale. You can start on any key, follow that structure, and you will play a major scale. Doesn't matter what note you begin on. But we're going to focus on the G scale, so we're going to do that again. G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. And we'll start down here in the left hand. Now, if we do them together, and I'll bring my hand up here so that the video can be a little easier to see, we're going to go together again to practice that ambidextrous training for our brain and our overall health. So we're going to go whole step, half step, whole step, half step. And we're going to follow the pattern back down. See, that is so simple. With a little bit of practice, you're going to get that no problem. Now we're going to go ahead and cover the G chord. Again, what is our chord structure? 1, 3, 5. Everybody knows that by now, right? So, because you guys are becoming piano geniuses. So, when we do our 1, 3, 5, that's your right hand, right? You can even have so much fun with this, really. You can just do fun things with your chords. Right? That's all your 1, 3, 5. So now I'm going to show you how simple it is to take 2 simple chords and a little bit of fun notes in between that we're going to make a song that everybody knows. And I know it's not on your top 10 of songs that you want to learn how to play. Some of you I know want to learn how to play Adele and Coldplay and all of that. But for now, we're going to stick with Mary Had a Little Lamb. And I think that you'll all really enjoy this because you'll feel like, yes, I can play Mary Had a Little Lamb. So here we're going to start on the C. And I'm just going to play some notes here, all in the C scale. Now, all I did was I started with the C chord in my left hand and I added the melody line because after a while you're going to be able to figure out, after you're learning these chord structures and the scales, you're going to realize, oh, we're in the C chord, so it's not going to have any sharps or flats. I know the melody. Now I'm going to move into the G chord, and we'll get more into this a little bit later. Why did we go over to the G chord? Well, because the melody, it is a G chord there, and you're going to hear that and you're going to learn the difference. Okay, so again, very simple, just 2 chords. I think that if you'll practice what we learned today over and over, you're going to become even more familiar. I want to encourage you, when you're practicing your chords and your scales and what I would call even the technical term arpeggios, for when you're it's really the 1, 3, 5 played separately. The chord is an arpeggio. When you do that, the more you do that together, the more you have fun, the more you relax, you're going to begin the process of what it is to play inspirationally, to hear things, to feel things, to be able to just improvise on the piano eventually. But that's really the structure that you start from, is learning those chords. So there's, to leave you with a few things, there's 3 main ways to learn how to play the piano. There's learning how to read notes, and that's how I was trained very classically, how to read all the notes. I do offer that in my advanced training. After these 4 initial very introductory lessons, I go more into a more, I would say, advanced beginner, and we'll begin the process of what it is to read notes. But for now, the second way, which is much easier, accessible to many people, and it takes far less time, is to develop a relationship with and an understanding of how the chords work and how the scales work on the piano. And from that, you develop the third way to learn how to play, which is hearing and by ear. And that takes a little bit more, perhaps a little bit more skill, and some have a natural affinity and talent for any one of these. But I'm going to be primarily encouraging you to learn with me the chords and the scales, and we're going to learn so many fun things. In fact, next week we're going to be focusing on the F scale. And the F scale and F chord go beautifully with the C chord and the G. And so we're going to be learning some fun songs that you probably know and can sing together at home, you know, maybe a Beatles song here or there. And I just encourage you to practice, come back, and I'll leave you with one encouraging word. My husband, David, who many of you probably know, and some of you don't know because you might be new to, to me, you've never met me before, but he has always had a dream of playing an instrument. He was not raised on the piano, didn't have a piano, didn't have a musical instrument in his house. Always had a passion for music and a phenomenal, I would say, finder of amazing worship and anointed music, but he could never play. And so when I got so excited about teaching, especially the connection to brain health and brain activity and longevity and all of what his passion is for healthcare, also being an integrative healthcare practitioner, he said, I want to be your first student. So we sat down at the piano. I taught him what I'm teaching you, and in 10 minutes he was playing the C scale, the C chords, and he's learning right along with all of you. So, I always say, and he said it, if I can do it, anybody can do it. And so I just encourage you to look at your PDF, take what we've learned today, write me, lisa@lisamitz.com, and stay with me. I'm going to be talking about some great things from here on out. You're going to be getting another video soon, and we're going to move on to the F scale. See ya.